This is Duke University.
Please be seated. Good morning. My name's John Gallagher, and I have the privilege of being the Associate Dean for Executive MBA programs at the Fuqua School of Business. On behalf of everyone at the Fuqua School, I want to welcome you to the celebration that is the graduation ceremony of the Global Executive Class of 2013. This ceremony marks an important transition point for all of us, for graduates, partners, families, sponsors, faculty, and administration. For 15 months or so, you've engaged with us in a partnership, the results of which we're here to celebrate today. For all involved, that partnership has had moments of challenge, moments of triumph, moments of exhaustion, and ultimately a lifetime of reward. It's a partnership that in a real way changes who we are. Graduates, thank you for your hard work in helping make the Global Executive Program such a success. There are many people who want to wish you well as you continue on your journey not as students, but as valued alumni of the school. On the stage with me are several individuals I'd like to recognize. To my left is Bill Boulding, Dean of the Fuqua School of Business. To his left is Pakpum Wanalasut, Chairman of the Quant Group. And in addition, we're honored to have Jennifer Francis, Senior Associate Dean for Programs, joined us today. Before we move along with this program, I want to recognize 4 groups of people whose assistance has helped make this moment possible. These students have not been alone on this journey. Many of you in the audience today have been instrumental in helping them achieve their degree. First, we want to express deep appreciation to the student supporters, their friends, families, and coworkers, their wives, husbands, sons, daughters, parents, supervisors, and partners. We're pleased that you're here with us today to share in this celebration because you've been an integral part of this 15-month educational adventure. You demonstrated patience and tolerance for the seemingly endless workload. You provided the necessary support and encouragement. You picked up more than your share, and you deferred gratification in a host of ways for the sake of your loved one. I know that the graduates gathered here today take as much pride in the personal sacrifices you have made for them as they do in their own educational accomplishments. Graduates, please join me in saying thank you to your supporters with a round of applause. The second group deserving accolades today is the faculty of the Global Executive Program. The faculty is largely responsible for the strong curriculum which shaped the substance of this program. And it's the quality of their teaching and research that contributes substantially to the reputation of the school and the value of the Duke degree. As students, you've worked in partnership with the faculty to create a world-class educational opportunity. Please join me in recognizing your faculty members for their tremendous efforts in making this program a success. The third group that we'd like to recognize are the staff members that have worked closely with you during your time in the program. From the first contact you had with the admissions office to the most recent note you may have received from Meg, there have been many people along the way that guided you throughout your time at Fuqua to make sure that you could be here today to celebrate your achievements. They were the ones that made sure all of the details were attended to so you could focus on studying. They helped bring each region to life through their contacts, expertise, and insights. They have gotten to know you on a personal level, and they are so proud of all that you have accomplished. Please join me in recognizing the staff for their outstanding efforts in making this program a success. Next, we recognize the student representatives. These students were elected by their classmates to coordinate class activities, represent the class to the faculty and the staff, and provide class leadership. They helped organize special events. They provided input in curricular and judicial matters for your class and for future classes. They were dedicated to improving the educational experience for us all. Representatives, please rise. We'd like to recognize you for your hard work. Now, it's an understatement to say that the Global Executive Class of 2013 has spent many, many hours under the tutelage of the Fuqua faculty. And so now, to begin our celebration, it gives me pleasure to introduce you to Sharon Bracken, who will make the presentation of the Excellence in Teaching Award on behalf of the Global Executive Class of 2013. Sharon?
Good morning. The Excellence in Teaching Award is presented each year by the Global Executive MBA graduating class to one faculty member who has made the greatest impact on students through their course, their instruction, and their mentorship. Amongst classmates, it was no surprise that Catherine Schipper, our professor for Markets and Institutional Arrangements, has won this award. Many of us can look back and recall a professor or a teacher that left some instilling words of advice or lessons learned. Catherine Schipper is the role model for us in Gemba 2013. We learned from her material, which was always so very current and relevant, with topics that showed up on our exam and that at the same time were in the press on the same day. We learned from her curriculum, which was so complex in concept, yet so easy for all of us to grasp because of her delivery. The industries and topics that we covered were very tangible and ones that we could all relate to, from cotton and rice, diamonds in Botswana, climate change, patent assertion entities, and economic zones in India and Dubai. Her messages are so full of context and artful facilitation. We learn lessons beyond just the case examples to understand the magnitudes and workings of macro-level complex issues. And Catherine was able to effectively manage this group of type A senior executives, and she earns and commands our respect. She has even left our esteemed Marine Colonel speechless on more than one occasion. Catherine exemplifies the reasons that we are all so proud to graduate from this program, and we want to thank you for everything that you've done for us, and especially for all the positive externalities that will result from each of us. The positive externalities that will result from each of us taking our lessons learned and bringing them forth to our businesses and to our teams and to our people. So thank you, Catherine. Please come up.
Well, I've got a little script here, and just to clarify, of course, Sharon has an electronic device, and I have a piece of paper. And that pretty much says it all. Kind of an old school teacher here. My warmest congratulations to every one of you and your families. It's great to see you again on such a happy occasion. As I'm sure you already know, I really enjoyed teaching global markets and institutional arrangements, and I learned a lot from you. In particular, I learned from the quizzes, because I had fun making up those quizzes. Why are large sugary drinks banned in New York City? And I particularly enjoyed reading your analyses, because that's where I learned a lot. So I have to thank you twice today. I want to thank you for this award and the t-shirt, and I want to thank you for a wonderful learning experience.
Thank you, Catherine, for everything you've done for the program. I would now like to present Brian Thompson, who's worked with our colleagues in development and alumni relations and with his classmates, and will now present Dean Boulding with the class gift. Brian?
Dean Boulding and the distinguished leadership and staff of the Fuqua School of Business, thank you for the opportunity to represent the Global Executive MBA class of 2013. We want to express our thanks for your unending hard work, your dedication to the high standards held before us, for your vision for the school, for the program, and for us. Having achieved the monumental goal of completing the Global Executive MBA program, I want to personally present you with our first donation. On behalf of all that are seated here before you, the graduates, the families, the friends, all those who are directly impacted by this program, I'm very proud to give back to the Fuqua School of Business our first donation in the sum of $81,615. Now, this is only the beginning. We're the face and the future of Duke and of Fuqua. And as much as it is your commission to guide and lead the school, it's ours to be the personal representatives to the world. Together, we will continue the demand of excellence placed upon everyone associated with Duke University and the Fuqua School of Business. So I thank you. Thank you all for the opportunity to give back and to be the Fuqua School of Business and to be Duke University. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is a really big check, and I'm so gratified by the check for what it means, which is your willingness to invest in the people that will follow you and your commitment to the school to make sure that we keep getting better. And the thing I like the best is it's only the beginning. It is true that you will go out through your actions and create incredible impact through what you do. So thank you all so much.
Brian, thank you, and thank your classmates for this remarkable contribution to the school. Thank you. I now have the pleasure to introduce to you all the class speaker for the Global Executive Class of 2013, Sam Wald.
We must have all questioned at times what we've been doing in the Gemba program for the past 15 months. My answer is that in a sense, we've all been running. Do we know now which way to run? Moving at an exhaustive pace, and just when we thought we were too shattered to keep going, we pushed even further. By knowing that we'd have the satisfaction and sense of achievement that we all feel today in this moment. Isn't it wonderful to be here right now? When we first started together as a class here in Durham for our first grueling 2 distance weeks of micro and accounting, sorry about that, Mohan, many chose to blow off steam in the same way. No, I'm not talking about midnight cocktail hour at the bar. However, what I did see was many of us across from the Thomas Center right next door in the 5-kilometer loop on the Bueller Trail. Meg, Catherine, Corey, Brian, Gary, Andreas, Charles, Adrian, Kathleen, John, Andre, Todd, and of course Reese. I don't know if I left anybody's name off, were some of the regulars in the few first distance sessions. A few, Raymond, Kate, and Apurva in particular, even braved the modest air quality of both Delhi and Shanghai. The Gemba program, in my mind, is comparable to a competitive middle distance race, similar in length to the Fuqua Loop and dating back to the ancient Olympics, apropos of our multinational program with top-notch students. Sprints are a very short and all-out effort. Nothing is held back. Distance events like marathons are about having a high average speed without the need to slow down. But the middle distance, what we've done, the 5K, has characteristics of both, plus its own special attributes. It is the most punishing of all events, and everyone here knows that we have completed Fuqua's utmost demanding program. It requires real speed, produced with an effort close to 100%, but with just enough left so the rest of the race or program is possible. Did anyone feel burned out after the first term or 1,000 meters? How about the second one? What about the third? Being here for the past week brings out memories for all of us before we were transformed by the program. A quality steadiness is also necessary because the duration of a middle distance race is well beyond that of a sprint. Something more has been required. The ability to maintain and sustain speed with increasing distance, and in our case, more studying, completing assignments, working exams, and major team projects. Thank you, professors, for those. This is the heart of what we've all accomplished here at Fuqua, a punishing race that we have never run before, and we now know that we can do. Interestingly, the true type of race that we've all completed no longer exists as a competitive event in Olympic sports. The most arduous contest was around 500 BC, called the Hoplitodromos. Oleg Karpushin, please correct me if I'm wrong. But imagine running in full armor outside right now, carrying a shield, unlike all the other races that were run in the nude. Would you agree that given the stage of our professional and personal lives, we completed this program wearing the full garb of our jobs and other responsibilities, a new box of armor arriving every few months? I'd like to take this moment for another round of applause for our families and support at home. We could not have done it without you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Claire, Jack, and Haley. In ancient Greece, this event helped to build speed and stamina. Do you all feel that you have changed in these abilities, having completed operations and statistics together while battling both jet lag and work emails? We also pushed each other further than we could on our own, in our teams, and as competitors. The program is about our superb colleagues. We learned so much from each other. We quickly learned that we would all be moving through the Gemba program at an Olympic pace, with our international, diverse teammates as bolsters of reinforcement, at sometimes more so than others, but a mediocre effort would be unlikely to sustain us in the Duke program. What we, and I suspect our family, friends, and coworkers learned is that Fuqua was going to demand almost everything we had from start to finish, and it did. Those that are here with us today surely have no doubt about how much we wanted to cross the finish line. But what also mattered to us was how we ran in an all-out effort as we tested the confines of our own intellectual boundaries, which we individually discovered on our own. The end of the program marks a new beginning for many of us, and we must take what we've learned from Dr. Schipper and discover what constitutes efficiency for us. We have discovered what we truly need for success and growth. We will use our expanded leadership skills from Dr. Lind to sustain our own efforts and the efforts of others, the efforts of those around us. It is these skills that will help us maintain our own personal strategy in the sprints and marathons of life that will continue long after we leave the Duke Fuqua School of Business campus today. I will miss seeing all of you on the platform. Keep on running, my friends, higher, stronger, and faster. We now know which way to run.
Thank you, Sam, for being such an articulate voice for your class. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce the Dean of the Fuqua School of Business, Bill Boulding. Bill?
Thank you, Sam, for absolutely wonderful remarks. We now are going to transition to hearing our commencement speaker, and it is with enormous happiness that I present to you Pak Poom Wanlisut. Pak Poom is the chairman and founder of the Quant Group, which is an investment bank that's located in Southeast Asia. And he has had a fascinating career that I think was unpredictable in many ways, where he started as a drilling engineer and then moved into the world of financial services, eventually became the head of investment banking Asia Pacific for Nomura before founding the Quant Group. Now, when you pick a commencement speaker, you're looking for someone who has had significant accomplishment. And just by telling you what he's done, you know he's someone of significant accomplishment. But you want more than someone of accomplishment. You want someone who has relevant experience, who has wisdom, who has insight, and above all, can serve as a role model for the graduates in terms of their thinking about what comes next for them. In that regard, what's really nice is if you have a commencement speaker who knows the significance of what you've experienced and the significance of what you yet have to accomplish. And Pak Poom has been in your shoes. He is a graduate of the global program from 1998, and by the way, he founded the Quant Group in 1998. So he understands the significance of this time in your lives. And he is also just a wonderful human being. And so, in my opinion, a fantastic role model. We're thrilled to have him. Without further ado, Pak Poom.
Thank you, Bill. And when you do find that person, I'd like to meet him too. Good morning, the graduating class of 2013, family members, relatives, Dean Bill Boulding, distinguished faculty and professors. You can probably tell that I've never done this before. Before I came out here, it all started when Bill was in Bangkok about 4 months ago, and we were riding in a car together, and we were going to see prospective donors and clients and so on, and Bill said to me in the car, he says, "I have too big ass." And I said, "So what, Bill?" And that's ass with a K. So And then Bill purported to go with the first ask. He says, "Could I ride to the next meeting with you?" And I said, "Of course." And he says, "Well, the second big ask is, all right, would you come and do this commencement speech in North Carolina today?" So here I am. I panicked a little bit, and I think I must have said, "I'm sorry." I think I kind of said yes unwittingly to both of those questions. And subsequently, I have this ritual dinner with my sister and her family every Saturday. She's a little bit like my mother. She's 5 years older than I am. And so we were having dinner, and I told her, I said, I might have unwittingly said yes to what Bill had asked me to do. I've never done this before. And she said, "What were you thinking?" I mean, how are you going to get through this? You're going to drag the whole family down now. And, I'm glad I'm not using the same family name. And then she says, you are really going to go out there and embarrass yourself. And then it dawned on me. I thought, wow, go out there, speak incoherently, and embarrass myself. I could do that. I do that all the time. So I've been preparing a little bit before I came out here. And in the preparation for the speech, I thought back to the time when I was standing amongst you and waiting to receive my own diploma. It was in this very same room. And there was a gentleman standing up here speaking about something that I have no clue and recollection of what he said. I think I remember only 3 words. He says it was AT&T, Sprint, and President, and the rest is a blur. I don't remember what he said. So I did a little bit more research, and I asked a close friend of mine who has his 2 children graduating this year from UPenn and Harvard. And his daughter was graduating from UPenn in School of Architecture. So I said, could I go? Could I go and listen? So I did 2 separate trips from Bangkok, first to Philadelphia in the sort of first, second week of May, if I remember correctly. And there were 2 speakers. The first day was a gentleman who spoke about his life and his own experience as a chairman and prior CEO of this big pharmaceutical company. And their second speaker was Vice President Joe Biden, but I thought I could hear him speak all the time, so I just attended the first one. And he spoke very eloquently. He was very warm, and he spoke pretty much about himself. And it was great. I thought it was a great speech. And he, right afterwards, after the graduation, my friend's daughter ran over and met her family, and I was standing there. And I think she senses the most immature person in the crowd, so she turned around to me and she said, hello, this is our day. It's supposed to be about us. It's not about you. Why don't you speak about us? And she said it in a jocular way. She wasn't angry or anything like that. She speaks as if any 22-year-olds would speak sometimes. And so I thought about that, and I thought, coming out here today, it is about you. It is, so therefore, I do want to speak mostly about you. So I did, anecdotally, I did make the second trip to Boston to my friend's son who graduated from Harvard, same friend. But I didn't make it to any of those speeches. We ended up at P.F. Chang's in a corner of Boylston Street. I don't know why. So I didn't do much research coming out here. Sorry, my hairstyle. Sorry. In the past 30 years of my working life, through experience of recruiting and coaching younger colleagues, I noticed that highly motivated people are separated into 2 groups, mountain climbers and explorers. I didn't invent this, by the way. I read it somewhere. It's hard to be original these days. But I do believe that it's very true. And with mountain climbers, they are highly motivated people. They tend to point to the top of the mountain, and they say they want to climb up that mountain. They're going to find a way of doing it. They research it. They get fit. They prepare for it. They get their gears. They go to base camp, and finally they climb it. But they can always see their goals, and somehow they find their ways of getting there and getting there fast. These are extremely highly motivated people. The other lot, the other group, the explorers, and I think whether I like it or not, I fall into this camp. I'm not a mountain climber, but before that, allow me to momentarily break my friend's daughter's rule and talk about myself for just a minute. It's not a self-indulgence. It's more like an embarrassment. But I just want to tell you a story that you might relate to. When I first started Gemba back in 1996, before we took any class, we were asked to take these tests called the Hofstadter test. I don't know whether you still do that. But essentially what a Hofstadter test does is ask you a lot of questions, and you don't know where they're going with it, so you can't manipulate the answers. And so, for example, you can't try to answer it so that you end up as chairman or Superman or Spider-Man or what it is that you aspire to be. And then they take these test scores, they plot it out, and it comes into these quadrants. And then there are these dots all over the place from the class. And somebody is pointed out as a CFO. Somebody else is pointed out as a technologist, or somebody is pointed out as a corporate lawyer. And there were a few dots that kind of is around the CEO. And then they point out there's a few guys there who are CEO materials. And right before us, our destinies are laid out that you're going to be a CEO, this, and that. There's still a few spots left from that CEO position. And I was hoping that it would be me. So I was waiting for it. And then it came to what I thought might be my turn, but it was the last few spots left. And there is this dot. It's the leftmost dot of the quadrant. Unhedged is right out there. Nobody's out there. And to any untrained eyes, people will recognize it straight away as a risk-taking guy. And then it was revealed. It says, Pak Poom, it's you. You're a gambler. And that was very embarrassing. I never thought of myself that way. But I guess, explorers, a little bit like mountain climbers, I think we prepare just as hard. We research just as hard. Except we do things differently. And I think the approach that I've taken in life, and I think explorers take in life, is that instead of just doing what mountain climbers do, we tend to look at trying to tool ourselves and trying to find that big Swiss knife that can give us the different tools where we can go and dig things, cut things, clip things, snip things, fry things, double boil things, whatever it is that you do. But we don't know what we're going to find out there. It's a journey. And we're always just searching and very interested to find whatever else is out there. And I fall categorically in that area. And that's part of the reason why I left the firm, left Nomura, to found the Quant Group. I wasn't quite sure where I was going with it, but that's what I did. I tell my colleagues that you have to, early on in life, try to find yourself whether you are a mountain climber or an explorer, because that helps you deal with the fabric of materials that you will be dealing with as you progress in those two very, very different paths. Prior to coming out here, on Thursday, I flew in from Bangkok, and I landed in Los Angeles. I had the half day before I flew out to North Carolina on the following day. So I took a car out to Altadena to visit Professor Richard Feynman's grave, the Mount View Cemetery. For those of you who don't know Richard Feynman, he was a professor of theoretical physics. He's considered one of the two guys, with the other guy being Murray Gell-Mann, who's still alive at Santa Fe Institute, but they were both at Caltech, to have taken on the torch of genius from Albert Einstein. So I respect him a lot. I've never met him, but I've read every single one of his books. And in one of the books, he spoke about trying to enlist himself in the military, and he failed the psychiatric test. And much of that is because he was horsing around. One of the questions that the psychiatrist had posed to him was that, how do you value life? And he said 64. And so the psychiatrist says, why did you say 64? Why didn't you say, for example, 73? And he said, well, if I had said 73, you would have asked me the same question. So by just horsing around, he failed the psychiatric test, and he never got into the military. And then I thought about that. I thought about how do we value life? And part of the economics function, and in economics, it's always about scarcity. It's always about trade-off, that you get something and you have to give up something else. And the economics function of life, to me, is a lot like, it's really about balancing whether you want to eat well versus sleep well. And there's always a perfect trade-off. You want to eat well, you have to sleep less. Metaphorically speaking, sometimes literally speaking. Unless your parents have stored that up for you, then that's a different matter. But otherwise, economics function of life pretty much falls in that. So I think part of the shortcoming of modern society is that the accounting of eat well side focuses on the net worth of people. And I saw a Jeep advertisement. Jeep is in the car, the CBR, way back, but I thought it was very profound. It said, never confuse your net worth with your self-worth. And I thought about that, and I feel that in society, we tend to go around with one single ruler measuring people's net worth and seeing how successful they are, while we should be having multiple rulers and measuring other people's successes in other areas like generosity, humor, musical talents, sportsmanship. And I think it's just much more fulfilling that way if society could do that and shift that focus and look at successes, having multiple rulers of measuring one's success in life. As representative of Duke University, as you are now, the school and I wish our very best in your journeys to climb those mountains or explore. So very best of luck with your endeavors. Thank you.
So before you get too far away, Pak Pum, I would like to give you a gift on behalf of the entire community. And I'd also like to say that in my opinion, Pak Pum is one of those individuals who defies the notion of trade-offs. That he is someone who, as you use every kind of measuring stick that you can imagine, that he comes out as a real giant. And despite the fact that he is so accomplished, that he gives back in so many different ways, he is just extraordinarily humble and, as I said, a wonderful human being. So many thanks to you.
At this time, it gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce the Fuqua Scholars from the Global Executive Class of 2013. For 15 months, each of these students has worked hard in a challenging academic environment. The successful completion of the MBA is an outstanding achievement. Each member of this class has balanced this program with a full-time position and a personal and family life. Today, we want to honor those who have not only completed the Global Executive MBA program, but have distinguished themselves through their academic achievement. Fuqua Scholars are those students who graduate in the top 10% of their class. As we consider the quality of all of the members of this class, we can also reflect on the outstanding achievement of being designated a Fuqua Scholar. I'll read the names of the Fuqua Scholars alphabetically, and I would ask that as I read each name, that person stand in his or her place. I'd also ask the audience to wait until I read all of the names before indicating their support and congratulations That will help us ensure that all of the names can be heard. The Global Executive MBA class of 2013 Fuqua scholars are Giriraj Bhagdi, Thomas Eck, Paul McCarthy, Ivinji Peridere, Sean Stephen Taggart, and Sam Wald. Please join me in congratulating the Fuqua scholars. Now it is time to individually recognize each of our graduates. Today we ask each of our graduates to come forward and be recognized and congratulated by Dean Bolding, Pakfum Wanlasut, Jennifer Francis, Catherine Schipper, myself, and the entire assembly that's gathered here today. At this time, I'd like to ask Meg DeLuca, Senior Program Manager for Executive MBA Programs, to come forward and read the names of the graduates. We ask the graduates to file up to the stage on your left, and as your name is called, please accept your scroll and our congratulations. A moment ago, I asked that you please refrain from showing your support for the Fuqua scholars until all of the names were read. I want to point out that this part of the ceremony is quite different. This is a special moment, and I encourage you all to cheer for our graduates and show your joy and your support. I know that many of you will want to take photos during this very special moment. If you do come forward to take a photo, please make every effort not to block the movement of our students as they move to and come off of the stage to return to their seats. Thank you. Meg?
Sam Wald. Brian Thompson. Sharon Bracken. Mauricio Acevedo. Giriraj Bhagdi. Cornelius Lugene Best. Yeljan Birtunov. Kitty Cairns. Adrienne Canibe Juaneros. Andrei Chernevsky. Juan Cho. Karina Cohen. Troy Connery. Sergey Dimov. Thomas Eck. Fisher. Monty William Garrett. Raymond Golish. Todd Michael Graham. Andreas Hepner. Catherine Hicks. Oleg Karpushin. Tarek Kawi. Panu Gitkong Ka John Chai. John Alvin Kinnett. Alexei Kirilov. Yulia Kuluskova. Sunil Kumar. Oleg Kuzmin. Yelena Kuznetsova. Paul McCarthy. Michelle Morin. Kumar Natarajan. Al Parvar. Apurva Patel. Yevgeny Perediri. Brant, Portugal. Harun Kazim. Kathleen Ann Quirk. Vijay Raghavendran. Reese Rogers. Nikolai Ryzontsev. Norma Sandoval. Catherine Stavely. Darius Sulnus. Margaret Ellen Sweezy. Sean Stephen Taggart. Azim Udheen. Kapil Vias. And Ian Zita.
Okay, so we're getting close to the party, and in just a few minutes, we'll all convene in the Fox Center to continue the celebration. Before we do that, I'd just like to ask the audience to remain in your places until everyone has processed out. Before we begin the procession out, I'd like to thank everyone who's here with us today to make this such a special celebration. I'd like to thank the faculty, the staff for making this program possible, and I'd like to thank the students. And if I could, I'd like to ask the students to please rise. So if you'll indulge me for just a couple minutes, I want to thank you directly, and I want to make some requests of you. And so the thanks are for everything that you brought into this program. You brought what it takes to create a great experience. This is something that's co-produced, and you did your part, not only to create a great experience for yourselves, but to make sure that you invest in the experiences that others will have as they follow you. And I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done. Now, inevitably, every graduating class asks the question, what makes us unique? You know, is there anything that makes us special? And I've actually had the opportunity to see you now here in Durham. I think we saw each other in London. We saw each other in New Delhi and Shanghai. And so I've seen you in a number of different locations. And I do think that I can tell you what's unique, although I realize that the actual question that you're asking is, are we the best class ever? And I can actually give you a very emphatic response to that, which is there is absolutely no question in my mind that of all the classes that have matriculated and graduated since I've become dean, that this is the finest Gemba class ever. So the fact that that makes you number one out of a set of one in no way diminishes that accomplishment. But in fact, you are unique. And I think that what makes you unique relative to the classes that have preceded you is that you've lived in this world that is irrevocably global, that is completely interdependent, and is subject to massive disruption. And instead of sitting back and letting those things happen to you, you are seizing the opportunity to think about and drive the positive disruption that we need in the world. And I think that all of you are very impressive in terms of seeing the landscape and looking for opportunity, and I expect great things from you, not only in terms of what you've accomplished to date, but what you're going to do in the future. So now I have some requests about what that future looks like. And so there are four things I want to ask of you. The first one is, this day is all about you. There's no doubt. This is about you. But please remember that this day could not have happened without the support of so many people, some that are here, and I'm sure many that are not here with you, that made this day possible. And so my request is, please make sure you take the time to thank all the people who got you to this place and through this experience so successfully. That's incredibly important. The second thing is that I deeply hope that you will stay connected to us. This is not the end of your association with Duke. This is really the beginning. And there will be many, many opportunities to make us better over time. And we hope that you feel connected to this place wherever we are and wherever you are in the world, because there's so much more that we can do together to improve the condition of the world that we live in today and to make that better tomorrow. The third thing is, and you're going to kind of poo-poo this request, but the third thing is, please stay connected to each other. And I'm sure your reaction is, well, of course we're going to stay connected to each other. We love each other. These are the most amazing people in the world. But I'll just tell you, life happens. And unless you really make sure that you stay connected to each other, it will be so easy to have other things get in the way. Don't lose the connectivity that this group has. That is so important, not just in terms of what you've been able to do so far, but that connectivity is going to allow you to do fantastic things into the future as well. And the last request, in some ways, is the simplest and in some ways the most challenging. And that request is that all of you were chosen to be a part of this program for a reason. We chose you because we felt like, given the evidence and the track record that you had put together, that you had a genuine commitment to make a real difference in the lives of others. And so it's easy to make this request because you've been doing this throughout your lives. But I want to challenge you, please, as you leave this place, make sure that you continue on this path. Be consequential. That's all. Be consequential. A very simple thing to ask, a very challenging thing in terms of how you live your life. But I couldn't have more confidence in a group than I have in you to live up to that very lofty goal. So with that, I present to you the graduating Global Executive MBA class of 2013.